Welcome everyone to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the south corner of the map, playing in red, we've got puppypaw playing as the English, and his opponent in the north corner playing in blue, we've got Zerton spawning in as the Ottomans. Welcome everyone to Regions. That is the map for today, and we are on Empire Wars. As you can see, both civilizations have, well, now 24 villages, but they started off with 23, and the English start off with a nice pack of 8 farms. And both players do get those 2 scouts. So, interesting matchup. We've seen the English versus the Ottomans quite commonly on this channel, actually. 2 very popular civilizations. And 2 very strong civilizations. And I wonder whether Empire Wars will change things up a little bit, because on the standard mode, both civilizations actually quite like to go for that late game. You've got the English with the English farms with the enclosures upgrade, giving that free passive gold generation with each farmer. And the Ottomans, they get the free units from the military schools, but more importantly, they get a very nice unit. It is the Great Bombard, of course, with the splash damage, causing so much problems for, well, any civilizations that's in their face. And, well, the Ottomans versus the English can be incredibly strong in the feudal age as well, especially with the English having the farms. The food income is so strong coming in from the English farms. Of course, feudal age is a big thing, and well, the Ottomans could be under a bit of pressure, especially with the Empire Wars game mode. Has to be said though, in this matchup, you can probably expect that the English will be relatively immobile. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact, in the feudal age, they tend to open up with, as you can see, a barracks for getting spearmen out, but also the council hall for the longbow. So they kind of naturally pivot into this spearman longbow combination, and it sets it up quite nicely for the Ottomans to go for sipahi and archers often. So there's going to be a stable being dropped there, and an archery range, double archery range, and the military school already toggled on to sipahi. This is the horseman counterpart that the Ottomans get. Of course, there's a unique unit for the Ottomans. And because of this pivot, I think there's something really interesting about this matchup, the dynamic, because the Ottomans nearly always go for the Mehmed Imperial Armory for the Castle Age landmark, and that gives them the free siege engines, often starting off in the form of mangonels, and that can dish out a lot of damage to the what's kind of inevitable infantry-based army. As you can see, already starting off with 3 longbowmen and a spearman. And so when they get to the Castle Age, the Ottomans, they're very strong, incredibly strong opening, especially if they want to get greedy. So I think we're going to probably expect a 2-town center play here for the Ottomans, potentially. We'll have to see if he actually pivots into that or not. He might just stay 1-town center and play very aggressive, but it remains to be seen. Got villagers on gold, so it does look like it's going to be maybe a fast castle out of the Ottomans today. Getting those all-important upgrades, though. Wheelbarrow, horticulture already in, double broadaxe coming in shortly. Double broadaxe and wheelbarrow already in play for puppypaw, getting that horticulture very shortly as well. Scouts are being attacked. Not that much action actually just yet in the game so far, almost 4 minutes on the clock. So I guess I'll take this opportunity to say a very big thank you for all the YouTube members, but in particular a good shout out for Kai PTN, who was actually a super chatter, a super thanks rather, on the channel on the video about two days ago, I think it was. So super big thank you for that. Really helps support the channel, and hopefully my efforts going forward with the Age of Empires forecasting. Super excited to bring you new civilizations very soon with the new DLC as well. So definitely stick around for that in the next coming days, or maybe weeks really, I should say. But what we won't have to wait for is action, because that's coming in very shortly, with the archers going to be looking to snipe out that scout if they can. Back off for now. Just always a bit cautious. He has a vision of the English army, but they are now heading backwards. You can see actually palisade walls coming out on the west side, just to look to make sure he's safe from raids. There's a very kind of awkward forward wood line for the English as well, starting off the game, and that could be susceptible to raids if the Sipahi decide to dive. He's got to make sure he has enough units, because he wants to kind of deal with the spearmen that are on hand. Although actually there aren't actually that many, it's just 1 spearman at the moment, mostly man-at-arms. And I do quite like that play from puppypaw. It makes sure that he's quite safe in the feudal age. If there is an extended feudal age, he scales quite well into the Castle Age with this. The early man-at-arms can obviously get upgraded to the Castle Age version pretty quickly and pretty easily. He will lose his scout here, Zerton, so he's got 1 more remaining on the map. And we're going to need to keep that one safe for sure. Sipahi now heading forwards on the map to maybe see what value they can get. We shall see just how much value they can get. looking at the resources, it does seem like puppypaw is opting for that castellation. Both civilizations today have opted for that one town centre play so far. I just wonder whether puppypaw will be going for that king's palace. I suspect it will be, and that'll give him naturally a second town centre to scale his economy, which is something the Ottomans have to kind of address and deal with. Either he's going to have to kill a lot of villagers to compensate, or maybe go for a second town centre himself. It remains to be seen, but there's that king's palace now being built on the front lines, just to act as a bit of more of a defensive buffer as a natural static defence. And, well, the Ottomans are out on deer pack, making sure he gets that free food on the map. The English don't necessarily have to do that, can just go for a farming transition, and it almost feels like that could be the case. It could be the first blood here, first villager goes down, and it is taken by zertons. It's going to take out the scout as well, which is a nice pick-off so far, denies the walls, and now, well, puppypaw has to move that army in that position, leaves the villagers here a little bit exposed, but I don't think the Sabai are heading back to that position anytime soon. So if you haven't seen this map before, something to consider is the resources spawn. We've got 3 massive gold nodes in the middle of the map, 8,000 gold on each one. And on the west side, you've got lots of deer packed to be taken. And on the east side, you've got lots of berries. So plenty of food on the edges of the map. And that central gold could be very, very critical, because the Ottomans, of course, unlike the English, they don't get that kind of passive gold generation in the late game. They're going to have to rely on gaining that map control, which they do actually kind of have at this point, and probably will continue to have for the next 5-10 minutes potentially, unless I mean, I think he will just have it, because the English have now got that second town centre. It means that food is going to be spent on more villagers, and that will scale quite nicely with that economy, but it will take time for that to pay it back off, and it means that the economy for the Ottomans will be a little bit weaker, but it can pump in those resources into military. Speaking of military, well, it's going to go up with the Mehmed Imperial Armory. No real surprises there. It's going to get those free siege engines and really pump out those mangonels, which is something that the English have to deal with. I think this matchup really is the English. You have to make sure you drop a siege workshop eventually to get those springholds. Otherwise, it can be very, very painful. We shall see if puppypaw has a lot of pain in this match today or not. But now that he's in the castle age, you might consider getting some relics. That's always a good way to think about sustaining your economy in the late game with relics. Does have the monastery rather up and running, but no scholar out there just yet. No monk out there. Speaking about going out there, well, here's the military for puppypaw, looking to get as much value as he can, whilst Zerton only just gets the tech up. But he's now looking to get the upgrades to his veterancy for Sipahi, and veterancy for his archers. But, well, it looks like puppypaw trying to make his way across the map to do some damage before that comes in. I think it's going to be a little bit too late. These guys are a little bit slow on their feet, of course. He talks about the mobility being an issue, and you can clearly see it's an issue at the moment. Back at home on the gold, is being harassed quite significantly. But no signs of retreating for puppypaw. He smells blood, wants to be aggressive. But we talked about the Mehmed Imperial Armory. He's got that mangonel to be defending with. Or does he? Oh, not yet. It's queued up, it seems. Still be a few minutes, 1.5 minutes out. Does pick off 2 villagers there, so nice little clawback on the villager count. And puppypaw with that second town centre effectively here with the King's Palace. It does have a good map position now. With this army on the field, it does give him that control, allows his scholar, or his monk rather, to get out onto that map and pick up those relics. Going to pick up the one in the middle of the map first, or the Sabai might jump on that if he spots it. He doesn't spot it just yet, one man at a time, just keeping an eye. And the monk will be heading back home soundly and safely. But with a decent villager lead establishing here for puppypaw, that'll be good for him in terms of the mid-game. Something to get... Oh, this could be a good pick-off here for puppypaw. Using the range of the longbows, might be able to snipe off a Sabahi or 2. Not quite enough just to one-shot there, but quite a few longbowmen getting a lot of damage, and the Sabahi do have to back off for now. Waiting for the mangonel, the meta, 2 of them on the field, and I think it's a really nice bonus for the Ottomans. Increasing the attack speed by 15%. Now, the English do get something very similar with the network of castles, but they need to have that static defense on the map. They need their outposts, which can be pretty difficult to establish. Sabahi being peeled off, just to see what's happening. Palisade walls coming out on the south. It might be denied, actually, with the Sabahi finds that villager, but look at this. Puppypaw actually re-establishing himself on the map. He's got to be careful, though, not to be caught, because if he does get caught out, things can really snowball with the English. Going to try and pick off some reinforcements with the Sabahi. And he's heading back home again. Always kind of dancing around, not really diving in too much. As you can see, he's obviously paying attention to the fact that the English can be caught off guard, and he's going to try and catch the Sipahi off guard. And they do manage to ride out of there, get the mobility, of course. And Waterloo's going to come out, I mean, does he get this? Oh, it's close. He just about gets out of there in time. And Zerton probably wants to pick that up. Wait, Zerton, hello? Yeah, he's going to... Hello? Okay, we went around the long way, and Zerton hasn't spotted it. So the monk probably will bring that relic in, maybe. Oh, he's gone around the long way around. He spotted that he might be going that way around, and he's going to go for the man at arms instead. So it should be pretty safe here, the monk, I think. Although, still time. No, he still spots it and might just take the monk out. We shall see how much damage he does. Will he act? No, okay, fine. He's not even going to attack at this point. Trying to get the sacred side on the west side is Zerton. Waterloo coming up. Now, the spy should get that scholar, that monk, rather. He does. And that sacred side activated for Zerton will be that nice bit of gold trickle that he'll want to get in. Has picked up one relic of his own, but with puppypaw already 2 relics deposited, he's certainly in the lead on that front. With a nice economy, he's looking good. 63 military though for Zerton, and I think the numbers don't tell you everything. Because they got this guy, the Mangonel, the big hitter. That's the real prize of the show today, at the moment at least. He might want to look to take this King's Palace down. No real other siege on the map. Not too much in the way of melee to torch it down either. But he might just try it. Only 5,000 HP on this guy. But the threat of the Mangonel, as you can see, puppypaw just a bit anxious about engaging. There is no siege workshop I can see just yet. And I take that back. There is a siege workshop. I don't think he's got a Mangonel or a Springald. I think he's got one, but I'm not sure. I think it might be... There it is. It's being sniped by the Sipahi. And that threat of the Mangonel now looms. The Man-at-Arms might try and dive on it, though. They're pretty tanky. But adequately protected. Zerton should be able to keep the Mangonel alive for now. A Mangonel shot. Huge Mangonel shot on the farms. And those longbows are at risk of being absolutely decimated. Another Mangonel shot, and puppypaw is losing a lot in terms of HP. And that's going to mean the fight is certainly going to swing in the way of the Ottomans. A couple of Man-at-Arms going to try and dive on the Mangonel. I think he gets it. Oh, it was a bit of an oversight there by Zerton. Oh, he keeps it alive just about. But he needs to keep it repaired. The King's Palace looks like it's focus firing on it, and he does lose the Mangonel in the end. Could have potentially got a bit more damage, but he's certainly getting damage. He's going to kill some villagers for sure. He's killed 10 so far. With that sacred site on the west side activated, 2 more relics are being brought in. Map control certainly swinging in the favour of the Ottomans once again. Does have a network of castles working here for him, the English, but of course the meta working nicely for the Ottomans. Would like to see the longbows actually target that down. Certainly help his position. Might be a case that Zerton needs to back off for now. Maybe bit off a little bit too much than he can chew, but he kept a lot of the economy idle for a very long time. Now Zerton should be in a good strong position behind this. He's equalised the villager count a little bit. We talked about how earlier, going up against 2 town centres, you've got 2 options. Either drop a second town centre yourself or do damage, and he's done damage. That is for sure. Getting units for free. He's got almost, he's got 4 military schools so far. And got those 2 relics nicely as well. It's going to start a farming transition on the back of this. Going to try and double down this early aggression. And he does have another Mangonel, always looming to do damage. Has 1 Springald in the army. That's going to be very critical at dealing with that Mangonel. But you can see a lot of weak longbowmen. For the English, has a sacred site on the east side. It's now being decapped by a Sipahi. Going to be a bit more aggressive on the front lines once again, trying to torch his way through those palisades. And I think if you can snipe the siege workshop, that's actually a really good pick-off for the Ottomans. He's getting armoured clad though, and that's going to make the man-at-arms even tankier. Increase the range and melee armour by +2 for these man-at-arms. Which he only has 5 at the moment. He's sending his own imam to decap that sacred site and activate it. It's going to be contested. It's kind of cheeky. He's going to keep getting that gold. It's something that the Ottomans will need to send a military unit for. Does have 1 Mangonel. Sending a villager forward as well. I'm not sure. Okay, what's this about? Holy moly. Bad rally point potentially? Who knows? But there's 2 Springalds that are going to push the Mangonels back. And all of a sudden, it just shows you the power of siege in Age of Empires 4, right? Really can dictate the terms of the engagements and fights and how you want to approach it. Now, it feels like almost that Zerton will need a siege workshop of his own and get some Springalds. He's going to go for a ram instead for now. in terms of the Mehmed Imperial Armory. Interesting choice, not something I would have anticipated, but now with that map control, he's getting hold of the middle and he's looking to get a keep, I suspect, on the gold veins. This is very crucial actually, because he's going to need to get security of these 3 gold veins if he has any chance of winning the match, because the English are quite happy to sit at home, maybe just bleed the map dry, make sure his opponent runs out of gold. But trade is always an option, does pick off another villager. 18 villagers so far have been killed by the Ottomans, but he's still trailing on that villager count. He's got to be careful here. It doesn't just get out ecoed. There's that keep being positioned in between the 2 of the 3 gold veins. You see the army composition here, mostly crossbowmen and Sipahi on the front lines. Dotted in a couple of janissaries as well, which do scale quite nicely to the Imperial Age or the Ottomans. Mangonels deploy, but there are 3 Springles. He's got to be careful. Looking to torch that King's Palace down. Has done most of the work already, but 3 Mangonels, or 3 Springles rather, just pushing those Mangonels back. And the Sipahi does eventually take care of that English monk. And all of a sudden, Zerton should be activating that sacred site timer. Potential win condition on this map. It's not usually a win condition you think of on regions, actually. You often think about just control of the map and the gold veins in the middle. Unless you're playing against the English, of course. And they can try and rely on enclosures. But I have to say, since a recent nerf of enclosures, rather, it doesn't seem as strong as it once used to. Well, it's not as strong as it once used to be, and it just doesn't seem to be enough on its own, it seems, against civilizations that can trade even. So whilst it's very population efficient for the English, it doesn't seem like a situation where they can just purely rely on enclosures, unless, I mean, it just depends, I guess, on how many farmers you have. He's going to go to the Imperial Age with the Berkshire Palace placed relatively safely. Well, this could be a bad situation for puppypaw. He's going to be attacked at the worst possible time. Ram coming in, Sipahi going to dive in too. Janissaries on the back of them. A couple of Mehteds as well to assist the fight. Oh, the Mangonel hasn't deployed. It has now. Takes a good hit on those units. The Ottomans are down to half health with a lot of those units. But the 2 Mangonels for the Ottomans aren't able to engage with the 3 Springles that are there. One of them has been sniped. Mangonel deploys and shoots off once again. It's killing a lot of the villagers though on the Berkshire Palace. The Berkshire Palace has been stopped from being built. The Ram working on that, but the Janissary is being ripped apart by the Mangonels. For the first time in the game, the English coming out with the siege and dishing out all sorts of trouble. He loses another Mangonel, the Ottomans, for free. He did keep a lot of that economy idle. A lot of villagers did go down as well, and the Berkshire Palace has been denied for now. Has killed 42 villagers so far. Trying to stonewall the west side. Not a bad idea at all, actually, considering he wants to keep hold of the sacred sites if he can. And on the east side, wants to make sure he keeps control. Would like to see a couple of keeps or 2, but now with the Berkshire Palace going up eventually, pushing out the siege, I don't know, it feels like it was a decent amount of damage coming out there for Zerton, but it wasn't really a fight he won at all, where he didn't win. And I don't know if it was too convincing. Villager lead is in the way of the Ottomans, though, for the first time in a long time, but that will obviously change as time goes on with that King's Palace still operating. Here come the Springles now for the Ottomans. 3 of them. Now, I would love to see siege crews coming out for the Ottomans with the Vizier point. It makes the siege units actually unpack or pack and deploy, as well as attack 25% faster. He takes out one of the Springles with the Sipahi, another one with the Springles of his own. They're going to snipe the other one as well. He backs away with 1 Springle, but he's taking a lot of fire from that Berkshire Palace. A crazy landmark, dishing out all sorts of damage. Over 15 tiles, an incredible tile range. 8 minutes on the ticking timer of the sacred site, setting a couple of mana tiles, but they won't be able to break in. On the west side is still open, but he's working on that for now. Zerton does have the opportunity very soon to drop another keep. It does feel like that gold is going to be running out very soon in terms of the gold vein for puppypaw, and then he's going to certainly need to rely on the enclosures. But he does have a nice farming transition coming out. That's obviously going to help his cause. Oh, villagers on the berries being attacked by a good number of man-at-arms, 4 of them. That's actually a situation you can't really do anything other than back away with those villagers and send a couple of units. But you can see siege crews is now in place. As you can see, units are garrisoned inside the springles, and that does, I think it's going to come down to a late game situation, right? Late game English versus late game Ottomans. And of course, you know, you've got to talk about enclosures when it comes down to late game in the English, that they're free passive gold. But I think the siege for the Ottomans is so strong. The reason why I say that is because they have access to units that other civilizations don't. They've got the Great Bombard, which has that great splash damage. They've got siege crews, making the siege unpack and deploy 25% faster, but also attack 25% faster, if I'm not mistaken. And also, not only that, they've got the meta, making these guys attack 15% faster. So you can see the attack speed increase. I'm not sure if they stack, actually. That's something to consider. Let me know in the comment section below if you know whether the meta attack speed bonus and siege crew actually stacks up on each other or not. It'd be pretty cool to know. It's got the sacred site on the east and on the west. 6 minutes on the timer. Could this game come down to a sacred site victory? I mean, it doesn't really feel like Zerton's opting for that, right? Like, he's getting a keep in the middle rather than on the sacred sites. And I'm not so sure why he's not opting for a sacred site victory. Because he's got the mobility, right? So he can always get reinforcements quickly onto the map. But it looks like now puppypaw heading eastwards to deny that sacred site. And as he does, the army's going to head towards the middle, giving puppypaw something to think about. Because he's got a decision to make, right? He's got to deactivate the sacred site, but at the same time, he's got to make sure he's not too exposed at home. And it could just be this gets burned down pretty quickly. There's not all that much in terms of siege that does damage. No rams, no trebuchets, no bombards, of course, because he's only just got to the Imperial Age right now. And he does have a bombard here. That's what's going to make the difference in this situation now. On the right side, he's going to split up his army, send half home, send half to deactivate the sacred site. And I suspect he went up with the Istanbul Observatory here. Zerton must be. We'll have a confirmation on that in just a moment. There it is. Istanbul Observatory acting as a university, but increases the influence provided by the university and blacksmith by, well, to 100%, which is kind of incredible when you think about it. Slowly breaking through on the east, and I'm a bit shocked actually. The Zerton's not reacting to that. He's pretty slow. He's actually grouped up his army with the siege, so they can only move as fast as the slowest member of the team. It's going to take time to get there, and I think he might just lose the sacred site in the meantime, which is kind of a bit of a freebie, I think. He's going to send the army here northwards, puppypaw. Zerton playing this very passively, I have to say. Perhaps not too keen to fight without the upgrades, of course, because of course it is Imperial Age units versus Castle Age, although having said that, man-at-arms are still man-at-arms rather than elite ones. He does have elite longbows here, puppypaw. Heading northwards, looking to do some damage. He might just get some. Splitting up the army very nicely. A battalion on the west, battalion on the east. And he's taking care of that sacred site. So another win condition taken out of the equation for now, at least for the Ottomans. And he's going to keep a lot of villages idled. It's something he's got to deal with, actually. Lightweight beams coming in for the English. Maybe thinking about getting some rams on the field very soon. But now having to defend with no walls of his own. The Ottomans had map control, but he's kind of kept his army together, not really kept... oh, this is a bit of an awkward situation. Villagers got to get out of there. He does manage to. We'll lose 2 villagers at least. Oh, maybe not. Just 1. Yeah, maybe he does lose the second. Oh, Sipahi. They spot the trouble on the east. There's trouble coming in on the west too. Puppypaw doing great to split up his army. But this is definitely a fight that Zerton needs to win. Needs to stay alive here. Sipahi going to dive on a couple of stray longbows, but the longbows, their comrades are waiting to attack with them. Spearman about to brace, but he's not wanting to fight just yet. He fights. Puppypaw, a lot of spearmen taken down. If the spearmen get taken down, those longbowmen will be at very big risk of being sniped by those Sipahi. He's heading in that position now, looking to snipe it. He takes the fight. He cleans it all up pretty much there now. while the Ottomans can focus on other things. Have to focus on the longbowmen that are sitting at the main base, really. Still kept those farms idle, but the longbows, they will die underneath the town centre for now. Now it gives an opportunity for puppypaw to attack the middle, try and break some of the stronghold that's in the middle. The Sabai going to dive and take out what remains of that army hovering in the back of the base. That's good. A good bit of idle time caused there by Zerton, by puppypaw rather, on Zerton for sure. And it's just going to recover a little bit, Zerton, to pick off the stray units in the middle of the map. And, well, it feels like he's going to regroup here, puppypaw, in the middle. Mostly spearmen and rams to try and take out the keep. He does have a lot of military here for Zerton, but he's just kind of spread around the map. He's to group together like he once was. He's going to do that now. The Sabai going to dive in on those rams, but the spearmen embrace. They try and take out as many Sabai as they can. A couple of Janissaries behind them. Villagers are trying to repair that keep as quick as possible. There are 7 rams. That keep won't survive for now, and it's a good start to the assault for the English. There's a lot of military here for Zerton. He will push the rams back. How many of them will survive and make it back home? Not so sure. The east side's trying to ruin the walls being built once again. With some palisades there, puppypaw. Spearmen trying to get their way back home. He needs to survive this little push, puppypaw. Gotta be careful, but he's got the Berkshire Palace. He's well placed to do so. No great bombards yet for the Ottomans. He has activated the Sacred Site timer once again. He does have a siege workshop on the front lines, making that great bombard. It's not a cheap unit. 450 wood, 800 gold. Ooh, Spearman running into a couple of villages there. He spots it and gets away with it. He might lose a couple of villagers. They're chasing them down. In the middle of the map, another big fight comes in. They keep staying alive for now, but how long, I'm not so sure. The Rams making sure of their efforts to try and take that down. But there's quite a few Springles, actually. The Springles should take care of the Rams. Spearmen dying on the front lines to the Janissaries. Sabai diving in on those Rams that are now unguarded. And all of a sudden, puppypaw losing army once again. Zerton taking a good trade. But the thing is, Zerton's lost a lot of villagers. A lot of the villagers were exposed. And they've been kept so idle for so long. Decent amount of raids coming in. You can see the villager kill count. 31 for puppypaw, 43 for Zerton. A lot of that damage that puppypaw sustained, he's recovered in some ways. It's almost double. Well, not so much double, but he's got a significant villager lead. 117 so far versus 74. Get into this time where you kind of consider where can the Ottomans win the game. It might be just sort of a massive death push, right? I feel like if he has a lot more bombards, maybe another 2-3, he could come in with a big push. Especially when you factor in they've got splash damage. You could actually garrison as well to take advantage of siege cruisers. Not garrisoning just yet, but you can see the splash damage coming out on those spearmen. By snipe out the ram. Was pretty low health anyway, and the longbow trying to get a couple of shots there with the incendiary arrows upgrade. You can see a good pushback for Zerton already. The Janissaries will be picked apart by those longbows, but there aren't that many. Especially when you factor in that mangonels could start to unload their rocks on them, and this could be a good fight for the Ottomans. The mangonel shot comes off, and he does do a lot of damage on those spearmen. Janissaries having to back off for now. Crossbows kind of acting as the meat shield. No real clear meat shield. A lot of the Sapais dying to those spearmen. The Great Bombard, one of them, no, neither of them actually garrisoned with any units. May have forgotten about it, but the Sapai haven't been forgotten about. They're still focusing on that front line, acting as a meat shield. Those spearmen numbers are starting to dwindle. Mangonel deploys against, gets a little bit of damage on the retreat, and all of a sudden, with these Springles, this is a good number of Springles for the Ottomans, especially when you factor in a lot of them. I say a lot of them. Only 2 of them have units inside them. You can see how quickly the difference is, right? From the firing off. And well, the English are back at home, pretty much stuck at home without any gold apart from coming in from the farms. can see the difference in gold income, right? 2,000 gold coming in for the Ottomans, only about 650 for the English. Needs to keep those bombards alive. I think that's something we've learned about this matchup. You don't want to lose those great bombards. Very expensive units, and if you can group them up and match them in good numbers, they can dish out all sorts of damage. As they are now, the longbows are repping through those janissaries. It's picking them apart. The mangonel is going to be pushing this back now that a lot of those janissaries have been killed. Doesn't really feel like a fight that puppypaw can win with just longbows. It's going to need a lot more springles. Maybe a culverin or two could be helpful. Probably as a siege for the Ottomans is so strong. He's down to 80 villagers. And it's very difficult for the Ottomans to replace them, of course, because he doesn't have those two town centres that the English do. He needs to make sure his economy is rocking and rolling, because if he loses his army, it'd be difficult to replace it. Might be very at risk at losing the two bombards. He gets away with it for now. There's a third bombard coming out. I think the longbows are diving a little bit too deep. You can see the splash damage coming in from that bombard that just fired and dished out all sorts of damage. There they are, backing off for now. Sabai, maybe looking to try and pick off some of the units on the retreat. They should get a decent number of them. Yeah, puppypaw wasn't ready for that fight. He's going to lose a springald as well, which is less than ideal. And this is a fight that now it does have to back off because of the Berkshire Palace predominantly. Zerton's struggling to push in a little bit. Just trying to wall up once again. Sacred Site has been deactivated on the east side, trying to activate it once more. And this is starting to become a bit of a scary death ball of siege for Great Bombards. It's something that the Ottomans have to make sure he survives and keeps those alive. He could potentially take the Berkshire Palace. It's on its last limbs. It's on fire. I think with another hit, will go down. There it goes. Maybe. Maybe not. The bombards are focusing on the military for now. There's not much of a meat shield in front. Mostly janissaries. Villagers coming out to torch them down. And this is a good play by puppypaw. He's got a lot more villagers than the Ottomans do. And he's going to try and just torch down the Great Bombards as much as he can. Takes out one. That's all he can take out so far. Maybe a second. Mostly with longbows. This is not ideal for the Ottomans to lose these units to longbows. He's repairing with janissaries on the field. It's a nice touch by those man-at-arms. Oh, this is a problem. There's not much protection for the siege. The Ottomans might lose everything. A lot of springalds. Lost a good number of bombards as well. Another one goes down on the retreat. And all of a sudden, that death ball of siege is no more. Those man-at-arms getting great value. This is really bad for the Zerton. Might lose another springal or two still. Gets away with it. It's going to be fighting underneath two keeps. I think the longbows have done what they could. But perhaps a little bit too in deep to be able to retreat now. And oh, that bombard, just one bombard survives. It does retreat. And Sacred Site timer activated, I think for like the third or fourth time in the game. But, oh, wow. Did you guys see that rock? Holy smokes. Deactivating the Sacred Site on the east side once again. I wonder what Zerton's game plan is. Because he's going to be running out of gold. Well, maybe not soon, but he will eventually. He's got to be careful not to lose that siege again. It felt like that was a good number of bombards, and he lost it pretty quickly. Refusing to add a second town centre. I mean, maybe I would have quite liked to have seen one actually, because it's very difficult for him to catch up on villager counts again. Oh, he's going to lose a lot of siege once again. Maybe the man-at-arms spanning out because they don't want to take out the. They don't want to get caught by splash damage. He's fighting underneath two keeps. Does take out a springald and a great bombard. Might be losing a third. We'll see if he manages to survive. He is repairing janissaries, which certainly helps. It's a great fight so far. 34 minutes on the clock. Now that great bombard does pop out from the siege workshop. Probably at the worst possible time though. It loses that siege workshop unit. In the end, the great bombard did go down, and another. Puppypaw doing great work at dealing with the siege. Something you always have to say is something that, you know, if you can get rid of the siege, you know you're doing well, and Puppypaw is doing just that. I feel like it's what's keeping him in the game. It's the big difference maker in this game so far. Just being able to keep that siege alive, Zerton. He's got to do better, and if he can, it could be his way to win the game. Bit of a raid coming in on the east side with a couple of spearmen. But the stone walls have been built to try and protect from that. It's heading units on the west side now, puppypaw. He doesn't want to just focus on the middle. I don't blame him. Let's check out some of the Oh, this is an issue. Zerton very quick to react, though. Keeps him alive for now. It's down to 79 villagers. He's lost 47 so far. Oh, that's such a devastating hit from the Great Bombard cannon emplacement from the keep. Oof. These man-at-arms, they just can't get close. Yeah, I mean, they're dishing out damage to the villagers, to be fair, but that's a lot of an investment to be pushed out there. Not much value gained from them, although it is a bit of a distraction. There's a bit of an army coming up in the northwest portion of the map. But they're just trying to extend themselves to get their network of citadels bonus. Struggling for now. Is the buy going to dive in? Man-at-arms changed course a little bit. Gonna try and dive in on that wood line. Should be able to get good value, actually. There's not that much military to defend at home. Trying to poke and prod with the spy. Units sending them eastwards as well. And puppypaw just doing well to keep the Ottomans at home as much as he possibly can. And puppypaw is going to need to find a way to deal with the keeps, and it feels like it's going to have to be rams as an option. Doesn't really feel like bombards work well, especially when you're up against great bombards from the Ottomans. Like for like, pound for pound, the Ottomans will win that fight. 2 rams caught unawares by the Sipahi. Sipahi will deal with that nicely. Okay, well, he's dishing out damage from the man-at-arms. Maybe we can take out that Mehmed Imperial Armory. That'd be a nice pickup, actually. Just 1 man-at-arms, keeping a lot of the farms idle. This is not great for Zerton. A lot of his economy has been idled for a very long time. Oh, Great Bombard might be sniped. We'll have to see. Should be able to survive, maybe just, who knows. I think he takes it. Maybe not. Nope, the man-at-arms do die in the end, but very low health Bombard. Zerton's going to want to repair that. In the middle of the map, here comes more rams, and this is an issue. Zerton having to split up his army, doesn't have that many. His economy not strong enough to kind of continue to just to replace this as quick as puppypaw can. It's going to push the rams back now with villagers, and the Sipahi dishing out the critical damage he needs. Elite longbowmen though camping out at the back of the base. Zerton needs to keep this. I feel like he just needs to wall up. It feels like he just needs to wall up and keep this area safe. These guys just chilling out. Kind of awkward. Hello. They're not interested. They called a truce. A mini truce, but there's no truce in the middle of the map. This is where a big fight's coming in. Rams trying to get an advantage on the keeps, but it's not happening. Too many Sipahi. 2 Great Bombards with a direct shot on the battering ram wasn't enough to take it out. But fighting underneath the Berkshire Palace, it's not something the Ottomans really want to do. Takes out the outpost with 1 big hit. But he's losing villagers once again on that wood line. Or maybe not. Walks past. But certainly puppypaw killing his fair share of villagers. Trying to keep the bombards alive. The man-at-arms diving in. Quite a few longbows trying to snipe it. Will he get it? 1 more bombard. Janissaries need to repair. Oof. They are repairing, but it wasn't quick enough, and he lost the bombard in the end. Losing a lot of siege here, Zerton. Back at home, a lot of idle time caused. Keeper's about to potentially go down, but the ram goes down first. No follow-up in terms of ranged siege at least, but more rams coming out. It's got to be careful here, Zerton. It's down to 83 villagers, down to 34 military units. He's got to survive. It comes to this point where actually puppypaw, with a great bank of resources as well, he's pushing back hard. Zerton lost so many units for free earlier on. And now he's paying the price. Those man-at-arms, they're dealing damage. The trouble is they're mostly tanking. They're allowing the rams on the back of this to take care of that keep, and that's a big, big start to the war efforts for the English. Taking out that keep is half the struggle. There is 1 more keep though. There's another 2 Great Bombards come online. Looks like he will lose the rams, but he might lose a Sipahi or 2 doing it. puppypaw at his maximum potential capacity. 200 out of 200. Zerton only sticking at 135 at the moment. Needs to keep that villager production going. Wood line being taken on the west side. Wood could become an issue for both players. As you can see, gold is going to become very scarce for Zerton soon. He's trying to mop up as much as he can, I think. Whilst he still can. And it's a good move to do that because he's under pressure. But it's a nice army composition generally. Sipahi, Janissary and Siege. Can he make it work? He's got to keep the siege alive better than he has already at the game so far. That gold is going to be mopped up very quickly. Trouble for the Ottomans is where does he go from there? He does get free units, to be fair. So whilst he does get passive gold generation, he does get gold units for free. But they may not be coming out as quickly as he would like, and he will need to make sure he takes good cost-effective trades and make sure he keeps his precious units alive. It does mean that he's probably going to need to lean more into the Sipahi as the game wears on. Oh, the two Sipahi here going to dish out. Oh, okay, this is bad for puppypaw. Left these villagers pretty unprotected, and he has to back away. He can't. They got short bows, but it's not enough to deal with the Sipahi here. Man-at-Arms going to try and dish out damage on the villagers once again, but won't get too far. Longbows coming out to the rescue. On the west side of the map. On the east side, Man-at-Arms with longbows behind. They're going to snap out one great bombard, but it's mostly a distraction because there are 3-4 more on the west side of that position looking to take out those Man-at-Arms, and the great bombard survives. The splash damage coming out in clutch. Janissaries with the meta, with the spy coming in behind them. A great play by Zerton to get that flank on those units, and all of a sudden, puppypaw, his military numbers, they're not looking as good as they once were, and Zerton's catching up a little bit. Group of longbows heading on the west position. Oh, a lot of villagers on that wood line being taken apart, and all of a sudden, puppypaw's villager count is not as healthy as it could have been and was. Does have that keep for protection, but not enough space in the keep. And the great bombard, their single great bombard is going to take care of that. Group of Sipahi on the villagers on the farms, and that's actually very key because each farmer he kills is not just a farmer gathering food, it's a farmer gathering gold. He does have to retreat with only about 4 Sipahi remaining. A couple of longbows try to get the value as they once did before on that wood line, but they get taken apart. The Sipahi just relentless on those villagers, not letting them breathe, not letting them take the wood. Longbows have been caught. And Zerton doing well to keep up the siege production. Holy moly, he's got a lot of great bombards, and I think this is always the threat, right? The great bombards, some of them for free, some of them being paid for. It's such a strong unit when they're messed up like this. Now he needs to make sure he doesn't lose them once again like he did earlier in the game. He got caught out once. He can't afford to be caught out a second time, I don't think. Janissaries and Spine, they need to group together. He needs to protect these 3 great bombards. Group of army on the west side for puppypaw. Okay, this is a big push. There are 2 great bombards there. Might be sniped by the man-at-arms. Spy going to dive in. Janissaries. Oh, the man-at-arms almost focused on the spy, which would have been the wrong thing to do. He's going to go for the great bombards now. He gets one, and he's going to get a second, I think. Yeah, it's a great pick off there by puppypaw. There's a third there in that frame, in that shot. Man-at-arms going to go ahead right in that direction. Or maybe not. They're going to split off a little bit. I'm not sure if he gets this last one. Oh, but look at that. Longbows activating the arrow volley ability on the Sipahi. Spy can only tank so much. There's enough to one-shot them. Does lose that great bombard. Once again, Zerton losing critical siege units. It's not the position he wants to be in. And I would just love to see some walls coming out. He does have enough stone for it. Maybe opting just to save for a bit of another keep, maybe. Once again, Zerton having to save his economy. It's been open for a long time. In the meantime, puppypaw gathering wood again on the west side position of the map. Quite a death ball of army here for puppypaw. But the Janissary is continuing the chase. I think the Spy are going to have to tank as much as they possibly can to allow those Janissaries to get close and up and personal, but arrow volley gets triggered again, once again. He's going to kite as much as he can to get as much value as he can. Janissaries, though, with the meta bonus. I mean, technically the longbow should dish out a lot of damage on the Janissaries, but it's probably going to be a lot of overkill. And numbers-wise, it looks like the Janissaries might just come out on top here. Gunpowder effectively does beat longbows, as you usually kind of expect, but hey, it's Age of Empires. Sometimes weird things happen. All villages being pushed off of wood once again. Man-at-arms, though, going to be caught by the Janissaries and the Supply. There's a lot to deal with here. The Ottomans will take care of that easily, and all of a sudden now, the Ottomans in a commanding position in terms of military numbers. Well, actually, I take that back. puppypaw just had a massive spawning of new units. But the difference isn't looking as scary as it once was. 120 villagers is what Zerton's done in terms of damage so far. Absolutely incredible. It's going to try and break in once again on the Sacred Site on the east side. Has activated the timer once again. It's happened numerous times today, of course. All villages going to be lost here for the Ottomans. Quite a few of them as well. Man-at-arms chasing them down. Longbows picking them off as they retreat. Look at these English units. Kind of like ants on the map. Trying to get an outpost there. Zerton. He's going to lose a lot. Holy moly. He lost a lot in that fight. Well, not much of a fight, but on that raid, I guess. On the east side, he will take care of the army, but the Sacred Site is being deactivated. He needs to try and stop that if he can with the Spy. He might just get there, actually. And that's going to be important to do that, just to make sure the ticking timer continues. He's going to try and ram his way through on the west side Sacred Site. Looks a little bit more convincing, that push there on the west side. East side has been secured. A lot of military has been pulled in this direction, though. Needs to be regrouped a little bit. A group of man-at-arms, again, trying to raid once again. All of a sudden, Zerton starts to build up a large military number. 89 versus 81. Villager count, 94 versus 74. puppypaw is fully capped, but Zerton's getting there as well. Man-at-arms just walking through the Ottoman base. A couple of Sipahi on the back lines on the farmers. That's actually critical. Getting a few villagers, but there's a decent number of man-at-arms that will deal with that. But I do like what puppypaw is doing. He's just pulling up the Ottoman army left, right and centre. And if you can just keep doing this, whittle them down. Ultimately, he has gold units that he can make. He does have that 700 gold coming in per minute from enclosures. Now, granted, the Ottomans are still getting some gold from free relics. Actually, that's quite key at this point. Does give them about half the gold income that the English are getting right now from the enclosures. Actually kind of surprising, considering puppypaw does have 2 relics, so it's only really 1 relic and 1 sacred site. An advantage for the Ottomans. Almost doubling the gold income, or halving the gold income rather, from enclosures. And considering he does have maybe about 48 farms, it seems. Something there or thereabouts. Ooh, 4 bombards left unprotected. That could be pretty bad to lose. There's no army there in place for the English. Mostly Sipahi. You can just feel the pinch for the Ottomans on gold units now, right? You just can't afford to keep up with the Janissary production. Although you probably could potentially make them from the military schools. No, it doesn't have access to it. It doesn't have advanced academy from the vizier points, I'm afraid. Here comes another big push. Man-at-arms going to try and take out that second keep, and if he gets the keep, this is a bad situation for the Ottomans. It makes it a lot less easier to defend the mid-map, although all the gold has been taken already. 4 bombards have deployed. Will he be able to keep it alive? I'm not so sure. Keep it on... I think it's on fire. I don't think there are any villages repairing. Down it goes. It's a lot of springolds. Oh, the springolds went a bit too far there. I think they're going to be sniped. Bit of an oversight there by puppypaw. He's going to lose a lot of the siege. That's not what he would have wanted. Janissary is going to try and rip through the man-at-arms that are remaining. Bombards maybe looking to move forward a little bit. We shall see. He lost all those springolds. A couple of Sipahi. Oh, this is bad for puppypaw. Doesn't have any units to defend with. That's going to be idle farms. That's idle gold, idle food generation. And 3 rams will be going down. He did take out the keep, at least. But all of a sudden, the military numbers looking good for Zerton. puppypaw at 82 villagers versus the 62. Doesn't tell you the full story though, because of course enclosures getting that massive gold generation. But then again, the Ottomans do get the free units, especially the Mehmed Imperial Armory is getting so much value. Getting those great bombards for free. Could this be the death ball of army? I feel like at this point the win conditions for the English is just to really kind of continue to bleed out the Ottomans in terms of taking out the gold units. And his ability to replace those gold units, it's not going to be as good as his own for puppypaw. And I think the win condition for the Ottomans is just to have one big death ball of army with the great bombards, the mainstay of that army, because they dish out so much splash damage. Another bit of a fight, mostly man-at-arms for puppypaw, obviously very heavily reliant on food and gold units because of the farming transition that needs to be done for the English in the late game to take full advantage of the enclosures. Gonna dive in a little bit. Sabahi diving in. Man-at-arms are going to be acting as that front line. The Springals, 4 of them, maybe looking to snipe out the great bombards if they get involved, but they're a little bit too slow to the party. Janissaries might need to attack those man-at-arms. We'll see. Will they turn around and fight? He's leading them into a trap. Oh, the great bombards with a great hit there on those man-at-arms. Will we see another one? A great fight on the mid-map. The bombards dishing out so much splash damage. Janissaries behind the Sabahi, acting as the front line meat shield. The 4 Springals heading forward. They do snipe out one of the great bombards. Great bombards deploy once again on those longbows. The Sabahi, though, are going to be diving in on those Springals. He thinks better of it. Heads back for now. Focuses on the villages that are on stone. All of a sudden, puppypaw down to 64 military. Does have the sacred site on the west. It's going to be walled in once again, though. Maybe looking to secure that once again, the Ottomans. Maybe activate the sacred site timer. Maybe for the 5th or 6th time. Who knows? I've lost count. Oh, this is a bit of an oversight. Puppypaw doesn't have the 2nd or 3rd melee armor. That would really help against the Sabahi. I mean, there's no real excuse not to get it in the late game. Both players are missing that 3rd wood upgrade. That's not such a big deal. But I think that blacksmith upgrade, I mean, every little helps at this point. I guess the Sabahi aren't the main dishing of damage, really. But, you know, every little bit helps. Regrouping for now. Zerton has about 4 great bombards. A lot of metas adding to the fight. Army heading eastward once again for the English. And on the west side, a good group of units. Elite crossbows, man-at-arms, and longbows. That's going to be difficult for Zerton to deal with. Has to move those villages away from wood. 4 great bombards. Going to look to try and take out the siege if he can. Oh, the Springals deploy. Does take out one of the great bombards. Might be looking to sneak out another one. But that's a great pick-off for the English. He's going to head back home to try and defend, it seems. The move puppypaw's heading back as well. Heading into the 53-minute mark. Well, it's a long one, but it's certainly a meat grinder one. I wonder who's going to win. Let me know in the comment section below who you think's going to win at this point. Could be anyone's game, but look at the great bombards dishing it out so much splash damage. The Sabahi in great numbers. Longbows get absolutely decimated on the backline. And all of a sudden, puppypaw's army, the heavily infantry army, is absolutely decimated outside that base, and does have another group of them on the west side, but I'm not sure how much damage they can do with this army chasing. It's up to 100 military here, Zerton. Another great bombard just about to be added to the mix. 25 seconds away. Now there is a bit of farming economy and wood being taken as well, and could be a big snipe there for puppypaw. Or has already taken 118 villagers. Looking to increase that count. But, well, the Ottomans, they're pouncing on this. The Spy are going to dive on this. They should be able to clear it up. And the problem for puppypaw, he's not going to be able to, with this army, he just needs a critical army, right? Of siege as well to do critical damage. At this point, it's just kind of doing a little bit of pokes and prods here at this point. But it's being cleared up very easily. That's a premium army being lost there. Man-at-arms and crossbows. Pretty quickly, and you can see Zerton not losing that much. Taking really good fights here, Zerton. He's got 116 military, almost double, and this is a bad situation for puppypaw. He doesn't have the military, barely has any food banked up, and needs to reproduce that army quickly because he's going to be under pressure very soon. This is the time you feel for the Ottomans to push in the middle of the map. A huge army. Now, he does finally get the stone walls up. He does have the 2 sacred sites activated. 8 minutes on the clock. And all of a sudden, puppypaw has a problem. He's got to defend, but he's also got to deactivate the sacred site timer. 4 springles. That's probably the main defense that he has against the bombards. Man-at-Arms tanking the front lines. He's got to be careful not to lose the bombards. Some of them are pretty weak and they're not garrisoned. He's not used in siege crews at this point. Well, the meta... Wait a minute. The meta, the new meat shield, it seems. The meta need to get out of there. We want to keep them alive. You do a good job here, puppypaw, to snipe him if you can, whilst he can. Does back away, though. Doesn't want to engage too much because he can't. Does have a decent number of military once again, though. 101, but it just feels like that number really gets decimated by great bombards. All of a sudden, he's got the Ottoman army knocking at his door, about to run out of wood potentially on the west side. Going to focus on the siege workshop first. This could be the big death push that I think the Ottomans need. As you can see, he's got mainly Sipahi. He's got half the gold income that the English have at this point. Just poking and prodding. He knows he has a sacred site victory option. Going to try and get stone walls here on the west side. 2 Sipahi spot this though. That is huge. It's absolutely huge. I don't think the stone walls will go up at the end. He's heading back home. He's a bit paranoid, Zerton. I'm not so sure what he's defending because it's a bit of a tricky one. He feels confident maybe that he can keep up with the gold income coming in from enclosures. But to put some more pressure, he doesn't want to take any bad fights. I think he's being very protective, Zerton, and rightly so. He doesn't have unlimited gold like the English do. Back in the middle of the map. Well, it's going to focus on the Berkshire Palace. You can see the fire coming out of those windows. Going to be dishing out a lot of damage if their units get too close. 4 springles are there for the English, but the Great Bombards are nowhere to be found just yet. Oh, there they are, focusing on the Great Berkshire Palace for now. It takes out the Berkshire Palace pretty soon. It's down on its last limbs, and there it is. It does disintegrate, and this is bad for puppypaw because the Man-at-Arms are going to be next with the Great Bombards. He needs to find a way of dealing with the Great Bombards. The splash damage is going to be absolutely huge from them. We shall see how much damage they will do in a second because they're about to deploy. There are 4 springles though. Will he snipe out a Great Bombard? Does just about get away with it. There goes the Great Bombards. Oh, that was an absolutely huge shot there outside the King's Palace. Next up is going to be the Siege Workshop for sure. We feel the springles focusing on the military for now. The Great Bombards aren't close enough. He's diving in on the economy. If the springles go down, you feel it's going to be curtains, but it might be curtains anyway because he's down to 52 military versus 101. This is the big death push. He takes out the King's Palace. What will be next? The army is just running riot in the English base, and well, puppypaw is left with no choice but to tap out. The Ottomans reign supreme on regions in an epic game of Age of Empires 4. I hope you guys enjoyed the casted game, and if you did, consider subscribing to the channel. Take care, and see you next time.